Good morning to you. This is the AM show. It's now time for the news. President Akufo-Addo has warned he will not allow deputy ministers to benefit from disloyal actions taken against their substantive ministers. Rather, such appointees will be dismissed. He issued this warning while swearing into office Ms. Lariba Abu-Baidoo as the new Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, and Francisco Tingmensa as her deputy.
You have both been carefully chosen for your portfolios. Your educational and professional backgrounds, your life experiences and your characters have dictated these choices. An opportunity is being afforded to you to serve your country in an elevated capacity. Seize the opportunity with humility, but with determination, and perform, guided always by Almighty God. To the Deputy Minister, you must at all times exhibit a spirit of loyalty to your minister. Article 79, Clause 1 of the Constitution of the Republic provides that a deputy minister is appointed by the President in consultation with the minister and with the prior approval of Parliament to assist the minister in the performance of his or her functions. Your basic responsibility is thus to assist your minister in the performance of his or her functions. Loyalty to the minister is the fundamental premise for the success of your work. I will not countenance any acts of disloyalty or subversion of your minister, for I will take such acts as disloyalty to me personally and by inference, disloyalty to the state and party. A deputy who thinks that the route to advancement lies in their ability to subvert or undermine their minister will be sadly mistaken. You will not profit from that conduct in Akufo-Addo's presidency. On the contrary, you're likely to forfeit your office. I want you to work with your minister in all sincerity and transparency. That is the best guarantee of your individual success and of our collective success. Together, let us build that dignified, self-reliant, prosperous Ghana that successive generations of Ghanaian patriots and the founders of our free democratic nation have sought with their blood, sweat, and toil.
On her part, the new gender minister, Lariba Abu-Baidoo, promised to work hand in hand with her deputy to make the gender ministry an enviable one.
Excellency, I wish to thank you so much for the love and the wonderful gesture that you have shown me and my deputy. We are really grateful. And I want to assure you that we will work and bring out to speed as you made mention. We will collaborate with stakeholders and the Jubilee House to make you proud. Myself and my deputy are committed to make Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection as an enviable ministry.
Away from that, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has described the current NPP government as the best in Ghana's Fourth Republic. According to him, projects and policies instituted by the Akufo-Addo-led government are unmatched in the country's history. This is coming at a time where Ghana is in talks with the IMF for a $3 billion bailout. He was speaking at the party's Thanksgiving service held at its headquarters in Accra. There's more in the following report.
And sometimes we forget what we have done, and that we have to thank the God Almighty for how far He has brought us, notwithstanding the challenges we have faced. If you look at the record, and I want to remind you just a little bit about the record of the NPP in government, you will know that we have a lot to be thankful for. Since we have been in office over the last 6 years, and this is all based on the data, we have created more jobs than any other government in the history of the Fourth Republic. More jobs, teachers, nurses, security forces, civil service, the private sector, we have created more jobs than any other government in the Fourth Republic. And we have to thank God for that. There's more to do, no doubt. But our record puts us as #1 of any government in the Fourth Republic as far as job creation is concerned. We have built more roads than any other government in the Fourth Republic. And we have to be thankful to God for giving us the opportunity to do so. We have not built all the roads, but we are still working. And so there is no government in the Fourth Republic that has built more roads than the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. We have built more classrooms than any other government in the Fourth Republic in the education sector. We have built more railways than any other government in the Fourth Republic. We have built more factories than any other government since independence. We have built more airports than any other government in the Fourth Republic, and we are thankful to God for that. We have built more interchanges than any other government in the Fourth Republic. We have laid more fiber optic cable to drive our digitalization than any other government since independence. And we are building more hospitals, especially under Agenda 111, than any other government since the independence of Ghana.
Rather, that's Vice President Dr. Mahmood Bawumia there. We'll bring your report in subsequent bulletins. But since July 2022, the hashtag #KenMustGo has been high up in Ghana's Twitter trends. As of December 7, it had generated 465 million impressions from over 9,600 users. A counter-narrative, Ken must stay, hashtag Ken Vindicated, emerged in November. It also stayed high up in the Twitter trends for Ghana. An investigation into the two hashtags showed one of them was a false trend. If you want to know which one is false and which one is organic, just follow Jojo Kobna in this report. He painstakingly queried influencers behind these tweets.
We are not going to the IMF. Whatever we do, we are not. The consequences are dire. We are a proud nation. We have the resources. We have the capacity. We are not people of short sight.
We will not go to the IMF today, we will not go to IMF tomorrow, and we are not going as long as the NPP remains in power.
You heard the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta and Deputy Finance Minister John Kuma. They were cocksure that Ghana would never go to the International Monetary Fund for a bailout. So when President Nana Akufo-Addo announced that Ghana would engage the IMF for a bailout on 1st July 2022, many Ghanaians clamored for the resignation of Ken Ofori-Atta. At 7 a.m. on 2nd July 2022, at Obeng Appa, posted on Twitter,
"It must be tough for Nana Akufo-Addo right now, knowing that you don't have the cujons to sack your finance minister, who is clearly your undoing, simply because he's your relative."
That was when the hashtag #KenMustGo was born. The hashtag trended for days on Twitter. As of 7th December 2022, about 22,739 total tweets were garnered. 4,833 of the tweets were original and 13,967 were retweeted. 2,097 were quoted tweets, while 1,842 were replies. Analysis of the #KenMustGo hashtag revealed that Mr. Ofori-Atta received a lot of Twitter mentions whenever the cedi underperformed and fuel prices spiked. On 25th October 2022, 85 majority MPs shockingly held a press conference demanding the immediate sacking or resignation of Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta.
In the interest of our side of government to remove our minister. But whatever it takes for the government to put in place the right measures, if it requires removing all the cabinet ministers and setting up a new government, we will support it.
The #KenMustGo hashtag caught fire and trended for days. There seemed to be an organic rise of public opinion on why Ken must go, and it peaked at 7,633 Twitter mentions on 25th October 2022. Anytime the cedi depreciated, many users inundated Twitter with messages calling on the finance minister to be sacked or resign. Over 9,600 users tweeted the hashtag and this generated about 465 million impressions. The most influential user of the Ken Must Go hashtag was MP for North Tongue Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, tweeting under the username S_Okudzeto Ablak. He used the hashtag 8 times and garnered 1,738 retweets. In the heat of the clamor for the resignation or sacking of the finance minister, musician and social media activist Kwame A. Plus tweeted,
"We must begin a campaign to force the president to sack Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta. Every professional association, civil society organization, workers' union, and influential people in Ghana and abroad must be part of the campaign." Unquote.
An unidentifiable Twitter user, Hitskashine, responded, hashtag Ken Must Stay. This marked the beginning of the counter-narrative Ken Must Stay. Many users pushing the Ken Must Stay narratives were faceless and cannot easily be identified. Some of the accounts were created in October 2022. These accounts only tweeted Ken Must Stay content. The most retweeted Ken Must Stay tweet was sent out by @Mesikin on 19th November 2022. The tweet garnered 129 retweets and 151 likes. We identified 61 accounts involved in coordinated sharing of specific messages on Twitter using the hashtag Ken Must Stay. The seemingly scripted tweets shared by these accounts contained content extolling the finance minister's economic management prowess, urging him on to stay in office. Some of the scenarios are:
the message, quote, "Undoubtedly, the Ministry of Finance is committed to working alongside all stakeholders to ensure we can reposition our economy back on a path of growth and prosperity. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, hashtag Ken Vindicated, hashtag Clueless NDC, hashtag Ken Must Stay."
The breakdown. We identified 47 distinct accounts that tweeted the message 75 times. This means that certain accounts tweeted the message more than once.
Quote, "Carefully observing the ad hoc committee's questions, it's obvious, hashtag Ken Must Stay, because the allegations all be useless and empty. Hashtag Trust Ken to deliver," unquote.
The breakdown. 34 distinct accounts tweeted the message 40 times. Again, certain accounts tweeted the message more than once.
Quote, "Interestingly, the censure hearing has inured positively to the image of the finance minister. Hashtag Ken Must Stay, hashtag Ken Vindicated, hashtag Clueless NDC," unquote.
The breakdown. 25 distinct accounts tweeted the message 27 times. This means that certain accounts tweeted the message more than once.
Quote, "Even if you hate him, you can learn from his eloquence, coherence, and calm demeanor. Hashtag Ken Must Stay, hashtag Ken Vindicated, hashtag Clueless NDC," unquote.
The breakdown. 15 distinct accounts tweeted the message 16 times. This means that certain accounts tweeted the message more than once. Who are the key drivers of Ken Must Stay? Number 1, @Mesikin. This account is a faceless, unidentifiable user who has 1,123 followers and follows 1,579 Twitter accounts. The account sent out 99 tweets with Ken Must Stay. The second one is @Kumakojo. This account sent out 49 tweets with the Ken Must Stay hashtag. It retweeted several tweets by @Mesikin, @Fabulous Ike, @Bengelo17, @Kweku Bernice, and @Ahika Doreen, all of whom were previously identified as major drivers of the Ken Must Stay narrative. Now the verdict. The Ken Must Go conversation on Twitter appeared to be relatively organic. The hashtag was tweeted by over 9,600 Twitter users. The political characters that drove this narrative on Twitter are well known, and as members of the opposition, their stance on the matter is understandable. This narrative on Twitter mirrored what appears to be the general sentiment of most Ghanaians at that time. Even NPP MPs called for Ken Ofori-Atta to be sacked. The Ken Must Stay narrative was largely inorganic. The coordinated sharing of scripted messages exposed in this work is evidence of this assertion. The hashtag was tweeted by 292 Twitter users. Most of the accounts that were involved in the sharing of Ken Mastey narrative are closely linked. They follow each other, mention each other, and retweet each other's tweets. This is just one example of how social media is used to amplify certain narratives to make them appear more widespread than they actually are. Jojo Cobnam, Joy News.
Really interesting reports there. Now, the minority in Parliament says it will file a criminal complaint to the police to look into the theft that has taken place at the site of the abandoned Saglimi project. During a site visit in November with journalists, it became clear that most fittings from doors to electrical items have all been stolen due to lax security at the project site. Deputy Ranking Member on the Works and Housing Committee, Andrew Dari Chiwute, tells Joy News the police must go to the bottom of the case.
We intend to report this matter to the police.
Oh, yes. Police?
Yes.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yes. I was supposed to. I was supposed to go there.
Why are you involving the police? Is this why? Is that
you saw the thievery there?
Yeah, so the police should go and look for the thieves who have stolen them.
And look, well, our intention is to even get the speaker. Look, that project must be investigated. Whoever that
but the government is already investigating members of your party, including a colleague in Parliament, who they are accused of, changing the terms, doing things illegally.
How long does it have to take President Akufo-Addo, who is a lawyer, to investigate a former minister?
So what government is doing that? You want to do another investigation into what exactly?
We are going to investigate into how people got access to the buildings and stole all the things. That is what we are going to investigate into. Whoever that superintendent, the thievery, that person must be brought to book. It was a duty of someone to watch over the project. That person probably failed, or that person intentionally organized people to go and pick out whatever. Quality doors imported, glasses imported, very quality items. You saw the fittings. Probably a planting to devalue the project so that they can sell it at a very low distance to their client. You see, you keep talking about a private person. You go into this project, you get to know that it's a party member, it's a family member, or it's a friend to a family member.
Now, the Dean at the Faculty of Education of the University of Development Studies, UDS, Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Kunu, has called for conscious efforts at addressing the phenomenon of public schools in the North always at the bottom of the WASI-BEC rankings. He says the poor performance of the students in the 5 regions up north cannot be accidental or attributed to bad luck. He says there's a need for a strategy to address this challenge. Martina Bugri has more.
Over 50% of schools in the northern region in the last 4 years continue to score less than 5% at the West Africa Senior High School examination, whilst most schools scored less than 50% at the basic certificate examination. This has become a worry to stakeholders and education watchers in the area. It's against this backdrop the Faculty of Education at the University for Development Studies is engaging stakeholders to address these challenges. Speaking at the 2022 UDS Center for Education, Innovation and Leadership Northern Education Stakeholder Dialogue, the Dean of the faculty, Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Kunu, said the consistent failure is a concern that should be addressed.
For instance, at the junior high school level, Upper West in 2018 recorded 49.7%, 48.3% in 2019, and in 2020 scored 48%. Upper East also in 2018 scored 52.9%, and the same 52.9% in 2019. And in 2020, scored 48.6%. Looking at the trend of performance of public senior high schools in the north, the story is not different. And in 2020, 27 schools were presented for the final examination and 15 schools scored less than 5%.
The Director for Tertiary Education at the Ministry of Education, Dr. Yayira Jagbazi, delivering a speech on behalf of the Education Minister, Dr. Yao Edichum, outlined some interventions government has put in place to revive the falling standards in education.
Government has, over the past 6 years, come with some reforms. One, reform school curriculum from objective-based to standard-based. Implemented institutional reforms as regulatory bodies at the pre-tertiary level, such as the National School Inspectorate Authority, Lansah, National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA. We have the National Teaching Council, NTC, and Complementary Education Agency.
The paramount chief of Pishogo, Alhassan Andani, attributed the poor performance to the lack of concern by government, communities, families, and individuals towards their children's education.
So I think for me, the problem, and I'm a traditional ruler now, is number one, government, community, family, and the individual. But governments made sure that children will go to school. Communities made sure that any child of school-going age roaming around the community was beaten and sent to school. Families made sure that kids who had to be in school were in school.
Is Regional Director of Education, representing the various regional directors in the 5 regions, and Esla Chebo appealed to the Education Ministry to give directors the free hand to perform their duties.
A regional director cannot transfer a misbehaving teacher. Why? The powers that be will intervene, send the teacher back. So, how to reap results? The powers that be are here, and they are listening to us. And it is my hope that things will change.
That was Martina Bugri's report. This is the AM show with me, Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. Shortly, my colleague Joseph Akable will join me for the news review. Later, we'll bring you sports. And then for our big stories, GRA reverses discounts on import values on general goods and vehicles effective January 1. Good or bad? Well, we'll be discussing the implications on individuals, businesses, and the economy overall. Stay with us as we engage officials of the GRA and some other stakeholders. Also, get ready to be educated as the season 3 of the Law Challenge, which begins on January 1, 2023. We'll let you in on everything you need to know. And who is your best and worst performing minister for this year? Well, we'll be hearing your responses via phone and social media. It's a Good Friday. Do stay with us.